Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So today I'm going to give you two reasons as to why you might be hitting other strings on your violin. But before we get into this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel and comment underneath the video, as it does help with the YouTube algorithms to help get my YouTube channel out there a little bit more. I'd also just quickly like to make everyone aware that I have a Patreon page, and for just $5 a month you'll gain access to my complete back catalogue of almost 1,000 pieces of violin sheet music, which are added to on a weekly basis, as well as MP3 backing tracks for the violin performance covers, and some easy piano music as well that cover literally every genre from Chopin to Adele and everything in between. If you are interested, further details on my Patreon page can be found in the link just under here, and I will also put a link underneath this video and in the comments as well. There is absolutely definitely more than two reasons why you might be hitting the strings on the violin, but I just wanted to give you the top two reasons why I think you might be hitting other strings on the violin. So number one, very obviously, very simply, the bridge. Now our bridges are angled. You can sort of see there. I'll put a picture up, so a close-up of a bridge so you can see what I mean, but you can have a look on your bridge. You'll see that it's angled a little bit, and you will see that it slopes down to the right. So the E string on the right, so the highest of your string, the highest sounding string I should say, the bridge is lower on the right, and for the G string, which is the lowest sounding string, the bridge is a lot higher. So depending on the action of your strings, which is basically how high they sit from the body of the violin and the fingerboard, will depend on your bridge. Now you cannot generally just buy a bridge through the mail or from Amazon, whatever, get it out the packet and stick it on your violin. It doesn't work that way because they have to be fixed. So if I took this bridge off my violin and I sent it to any one of you, it wouldn't fit your violin because this bridge would probably be too small. It'd probably be too, it wouldn't be high enough, I should say. It'd just be too short. So it also depends on the roundness of the body. So the curve of the wood here, depending on how flat the feet need to sit. Carving a bridge is a whole thing all on its own. I have no idea how to do it. I'm a player and a teacher and a performer. I'm not a violin luthier. Violin luthiers will spend, years, decades perfecting the art of fixing bridges. So if you are hitting other strings, it's more than likely, I'd probably say the number one reason is that your bridge needs to be refitted. Now, if you have a nice decent quality violin, so if we're talking $200, £200, £300, $300, $200, $300 and upwards, I really don't think this is going to be actually too much of a problem. Although it might be, I'll go into that in just a second. But generally, if you've got a decent quality violin anyway, a good brand, a good make, you've paid $200 or £200 and upwards for it, the bridge is going to be fitted exactly to within an inch of the violin's life. We haven't just, plucked a bridge from the ethers, stuck it on and hoped for the best. Now, if you're playing from a violin that is less than $100, so we're talking like a $50 violin or something like that, those really, really super duper cheap ones, I'm not going to go into those. But if you are playing with one of those, it's more than likely your bridge will not have been fitted, as in it will come as almost a blank bridge. So they expect you to fit the bridge. So the bridges will be very rough around the edges, so to speak. So the bridges will be very thick, they'll be very wide, and they'll be very flat almost. They might have a little sort of a start of a little curve, where it goes down lower on one side and slightly higher on the other side, but it'll be more flat than it will be rounded. So you will have to fix that bridge yourself. Now, I did a video several years ago where I bought the cheapest violin on Amazon because I wanted to see what that was like, to be quite frank. And it was terrible, amongst other things. It's just, I just had to get rid of it in the end. I couldn't even, I just couldn't put the monstrosity onto some poor unsuspecting child or adult to play it. So I got rid of it in the end. But what I did notice with the bridge was that the bridge came unset, or the bridge, basically they wanted me to sand down and carve the bridge myself, which means you have to carve the feet of the bridge. If I can find one, I will put a picture up of a carved bridge and an uncarved bridge, just so you can see the difference. So hopefully I can find one of those on the internet. If I can, I'll have it coming up here somewhere so you can see what I mean. But you have to carve everything from the feet, the thickness. The thicker it is, the more hideous the sound is. The kind of, you know, it doesn't harness the tone or the sweetness of a violin, because it's just so brash and loud, because the bridge hasn't been finessed. And also the height of the bridge as well. So the height of the bridge is really important, because if this bridge was any higher, these strings would sit higher from the fingerboard, which means as it goes down in a slope, so it's the highest point here, and then it starts to slope down there. So if this bridge was even higher, the angle of this strings here would be higher. So when it came down here, I'd have to work really hard to push my fingers down onto the fingerboard to create the notes I wanted to. So it would almost be like me, if you could try this on yours. So if you try and push down your fingers here on this part, I know it's not ideal, but imagine what it's like. So if this bridge was any higher, these strings would be further away, and this is where my fingers go. So I don't want to be working hard to have to keep pushing the fingers down on the strings to get the notes out. So if I'm up here, that's really hard to do that, because, you know, the strings are much further apart and much further away from the fingerboard. There's much more gap between a string and a fingerboard here than there is down there. So your bridge could be a problem. So if you're playing on a cheaper bridge, it's more than likely you're going to have to pay money now to have the bridge fitted, unless it's something you can have and go yourself. But then, you know, you're going to have to look into how to sound a bridge properly. You can't just go in there, you know, sorting it out. And it might be sort of a little bit of playing around with trying to get the right angles. That's the only problem with it. When you pay someone like a violin luthier to have it done, then they're going to be doing it properly, and it will be set up properly for you and the violin. The issue with that then is that you're paying someone, I don't know, $100, $250, whatever it is, to fix that bridge, because they're not going to do it for free. And then for that kind of money, you might as well just bought yourself a decent violin. So the other reason why you might be hitting the strings, and the other kind of main reason, is obviously going to be this here, your bow arm. So let's assume there's nothing wrong with your bridge. Let's assume your bridge is perfect. My bridge is fine. If I hit any other strings, it's my problem and it's my issue. So what you want to do is make sure that your bow arm is in the correct position. I'm not going to go into details of where that is. I've made videos for that in the past, and I'll link them underneath or coming up, whichever side it is here. But it's going to be your arm angle. So if I'm playing the E string, my arm is going to be here. If I'm playing the A string, my arm is there. D string, G string. So you can see the actual levels that my arm needs to be to hit each string. It's like an elevator. When it's going up in the buildings, the elevator has to hit the exact position so that when the doors open, you can walk out on, you know, onto the, you know, whichever fifth floor, whatever it is that you're trying to go to, rather than the elevator just kind of ever so slightly missing it. So when the doors open, you can't get out, or you've got to leap up, and, you know, it's really dangerous. So think of your arm as like an elevator or a lift, if you like. So there for the E string, A string, D string, G string. And if you notice when I play, I'm lifting everything up from the shoulder. So we're not kind of, you know, we're not doing any of that. Everything from the shoulder to the elbow is going to be lifting up as one. In actual fact, everything from here is lifting up as one. So, you know, my hand isn't going up and down on its own, you know, nothing's working independently. It's here, and it's all going up and down as one single unit, if that kind of makes sense. So once you've got your bridge sorted out, which could be a big problem, sort that out, and that should solve most of your problems. If the bridge is absolutely fine, then it's the problem is probably you, and that will just be a case of you kind of isolating your strings a little bit better and working out where your arm needs to be. Now, something you can do for that is just a little exercise. Again, just kind of that kind of thing, or so that's a good exercise to do. So what you can do is just pull the bow down and hit each of the string in turn whilst moving your arm into position. So So I hope this video has helped you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.